We're experiencing between 6 to 8 rockets per day, including mortars. All of those fired have been fired from within inside the civilian population inside the Gaza Strip. Well, a large number of houses have been destroyed inside Sderot, inside the city. When a house takes a direct hit, all of the house can be destroyed.
There's a group of people doing something that I love the idea of what they're doing. And they're making these beautiful roses out of rockets. Would you tell me about that?
Sure, absolutely. It's really an incredible project. Jewish people are familiar with destruction, unfortunately, throughout the ages, but yet we always come back, we always bounce back, and we always try to put a positive spin on difficulty and destruction. So there's an artist, an Israeli artist, who lives down right by the Gaza border, kind of where Egypt and Gaza and Israel meet, in a remote moshav, a remote village down there. And he experienced, I think that his village was so small that they weren't even, the rockets were really going over his village to try to target, some of the larger areas. But, it was just daily activity, and he decided he wanted to do something about that, to express his reaction to that. And his reaction was not one of hate and, let's go get them. It was rather, what can we do that's positive? What can I do to show them that we're not like them? That it's not tit for tat. We have a different response. And his idea, since he's a metal sculptor, he's quite an interesting fellow, and makes a lot of interesting things out of metal, but he decided that his response would be to make something of a beautiful piece of art, a rose out of the very metal that they sent over to try to kill us. He said, I'm going to do a lot better than that, and I'm going to make something beautiful out of it to show that the Jewish people are about rebuilding and growth and being positive, not being negative.
This is the map of Israel.
Yes,
Isn't that something? And it grows out of right here by Ashkelon Sderot, right where the Gaza is and where the wall is, right there. And you can see where it's growing, right there is where the rockets are being fired from, in the Gaza. And so they're putting roses. They have a little plate here that says, created from a rocket that landed in Israel, and the date is, they have on here, March 2007. Because each one of these rockets are dated. And so he put on there what date it was. These pieces happen to be numbered, like this is number 167. And what he does is a portion of every bit of this goes to Israel to help with the bomb shelters. As soon as I saw them, I fell in love with them. Because of the fact they're beautifully made, they make a great piece sitting on your mantle, but what I like about it is you have something there to remind you every day to pray for the peace of Israel. If you'd like to help with a bomb shelter in Israel, we want you to go ahead and get these. I absolutely love them. They also have a keychain. I have mine, and I'm very happy for this one. And then they have a keychain here that marks the spot. This is also made from the rocket, and it has a little jewel there, and it's written in Israel, but it shows where the rocket came from. Where you can put it on your key day and night, you could remember, on your keychain, you could remember to pray for the people of Sderot and Ashkelon.
It's important to know what it says on the keychain, too, because there's Hebrew written on there.
Yeah, what does it say?
It says, Am Yisrael Chai, which means the people, the nation of Israel lives. And it's a very important message because that's really what it's about. We live, we survive, and we grow from tragedy. And you're right, that blue stone is on the very spot where the rose grows from on the larger piece, because to show that we grow from destruction, and we live, and we survive, and God protects us. There's also another dimension to it, and that's the awareness that there were so many Qassam rockets. I mean, how many people have seen that video that we saw before, with a police commissioner explaining that. I think the world doesn't know that, and especially after the Goldstone report came out. And, you know, the story really is not Israel's aggressive, quote-unquote, response. The story is really the 8 years of rockets that fell with Israel's restraint and endurance. And that's the real story. And so this rocket tells that story because it's made from a rocket, and it's an awareness that Israel endured attack for so long and restrained itself through strength. Then finally, it was just too much, and Israel had to respond. But the world needs to know that Israel responded only out of self-defense and after a tremendous amount of restraint. And these rockets fell. It was a daily occurrence, and that cannot be forgotten.
Let me tell you, if they shot one rocket in America, what would happen?
Oh gosh, you know, I tell
We would
people
wipe
this
them
all the
off
time.
The face of the map.
Imagine a town in Texas on the Mexican border, and I mean, if one rocket entered American airspace, I mean, that town would be leveled, and rightfully so. But Israel really, you know, sets the standard in restraint, and to some extent, I think Israel does feel the pressure of the world, and to some extent the United States, as you mentioned before. Israel always tries to do the right thing, but Israel knows how to restrain itself, but restraint sometimes is a sign of strength, not weakness, because sometimes to hold back takes a lot of strength, and then there is a breaking point, of course, because we do need to protect our citizens.
You've got to.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that there's a beautiful video. CBN did a wonderful video on that, how the roses are made. And if you go to rocketsintoroses.com and you go on there, you click on the media page, you'll see that CBN did a wonderful piece. And even the New York Times, of all places, yeah, they're not a lover of Israel, but they did a wonderful piece on this particular thing. And you can see how the roses are actually made. You'll see how they cut the rockets and how they form the roses, and it's very, very fascinating to see. There's also some videos on there about 15 seconds. I mean, that's, you know, it's become popular. Somebody was, you know, just saying that, you know, can you imagine being in a school and, you know, a siren goes off and all the children have only 15 seconds to run to the nearest shelter. It's a terrifying experience, and there's some couple of videos on that site as well, rocketsintoroses.com. You can see what, you won't experience it firsthand, but you can get an idea of what it's like to run for your life for 15 seconds and how important those shelters are. And these roses are a very important way and a wonderful way to help Israel protect itself against terror. By the way, I was just speaking about this with someone today. Terror doesn't mean death. Terror means living in fear and living with the thought that any second now a siren can go off and I have 15 seconds to run for cover. So the terror that people experience is what the terrorists are really trying to do. They're trying to kill, but they're also trying to scare. So check out this rocketsintoroses.com and you'll see what they're trying to do, and you'll see what our response is, and become a part of it. Help protect the Jewish people in Israel by building shelters and by owning one of these beautiful roses.
If you've just tuned in, these roses were made from the Katyusha rockets that were fired into Israel, into Sderot, Ashdod, and it tells you when the rocket was fired. Can you show them, Rabbi, on there?
Pretty remarkable that we've gone from this, taken this, and created this.
Yeah, isn't that something?
What a concept that is.
Yeah, and when you have it on your desk, then you can pray for the peace of Ashdod and Sderot, the people that live there, those children that live in terror. I talked to them. When we were there, we did a special on them. And we went to their little school where they were, and it was just sad to hear. But the parents said, we're standing strong. We are not giving up this land.
That's right.
And I was just so proud of them. But, you know, I support very heavily Israel, you know that. And as soon as I saw this rose, I thought, wow, what a lasting memorial that we can have one sitting on our desk, sitting in your home, on your mantle, wherever. And every time you see that rose, you'll remember to pray for the peace of them, but you will also say, I did something to help Israel.